Hey guys, I'm back from celebration. It's I guess Tuesday morning at 1:38 a.m. and I'm finally getting my stuff unpacked and getting ready to put it up on a makeshift mannequin I have made out of PVC pipe in my room. So we're in my office today for probably one of the first times here. Celebration was a blast. Had a really good time. Got to meet some of the other builders, which is really nice. Wore the suit for probably about 3.5 hours total, like twice, once on Friday and once on Saturday. And I would have done it Sunday, but we had a storm, looks like a hurricane that was potentially going to hit Tampa where I live, and I had to make sure my house was all prepared for that in case it did. So I missed out on the 4th day of celebration, which was a little bit of a bummer, but I got 3 other days in before that, so I got a lot of Star Wars stuff for last week for a while. So let's see, what can we go over? So wearing the suit was awesome. Being able to walk around, it was really fun for me. And there's when you first get suited up, I have probably like 3 minutes of feeling kind of claustrophobic and just kind of getting used to it. But the second you see the reaction that you get from the crowd and from kids and from just basically anybody around you, all of those feelings kind of go away, and it's fine. And you can spend a long time in here and just wander all over the place. It's like thousands of photos taken, and it was really fun. A few things, I guess, with the suit, it wasn't that bad. I expected to be more discomfort than there was, and I got a few few pinches here on the arm that it didn't happen often. And the first day I wore it, I didn't even notice that it happened until I took the suit off and I saw the marks. And Alex Moody, he had been suited up at the exact same time as I was, and he had the same thing, and he pointed it out, and I didn't realize it until he showed me that he had these pinches. I also got a mark here because the first day I have I don't know where it's at, one of these balaclava, I guess is what they're called, like a little thing that goes over your head, and it covers my neck, but it fell out of my box in the car, and I thought I'd lost it, so I didn't have it on, and I had to wear the neck piece without the gear underneath, so got a little abrasion here by probably the end after I started to sweat a lot. I got some weird pimples, I think just from having my face in this sweaty little sauna on my head. It was pretty good for about, I don't know, hour and 45 minutes. It was fine, and then toward the end of that, I could start to feel some things were starting to get uncomfortable. I could feel like the suit pushing up here, and a couple things here and there, but nothing really bad. So I started making my way back. It took me literally 2 hours to go from one side of the convention room to the back and then back again. It was 2 hours because of being stopped so many times to take photos and have people videotape and so forth. So it made you feel like a famous person, which is crazy because when you take the suit off and you go back out on the floor, nobody notices you at all because it feels, it's very strange, and it's a strange sensation to be completely gawked at constantly and then go to nothing. But it was fun. As far as the suit, everything generally held up alright. There's some few areas that got some extra wear and tear. So the shorts, which I expected were going to probably get pretty abused, got the worst of it. So they got scratches along the fronts, and they got a scratch right here on the little crotch area, which is that's from me packing it, and I had put it inside the chest piece, and I didn't get the towel in there right, or I pulled it out or something, and when I took it out, the towel was misplaced and it had been rubbing in the box. But on the back, there's some wear and tear also. And I actually planned on putting some felt inside the legs, but I forgot before I left. And I bought it's actually right around here someplace. But anyway, I'm going to redo this whole part anyway, so once they are done, they'll be all fixed up. And I actually added quite a bit of weathering to the suit before I went out, so it kind of knocks down the reflections a little bit. I'll show you if on the legs here. Another thing, I got some scratches right here in the leg, and this is from the shorts actually popped out a little bit and were rubbing, and about 90% of the time they stayed inside. Every once in a while I moved just right and a little edge would come out, and I could, just by moving my body around, I could pop it back in. I didn't have to do anything too awkward. And my bungees for my legs came undone about 3 times. They just popped off inside there, and I was able to walk around and it didn't give me too many problems, but Chris Bartlett said to make sure they're really tight from now on, so they won't do that. So new one's tight, got a little tiny bit of wear, it's almost hard to tell, but right here, which I expected. Another thing that Chris gave me some advice on was to keep the knees from squeaking is a little bit of surf or ski wax in the, along the little rail here, and now they work awesome. They don't squeak and make crazy noises. But let me see if I can put this close so you can see the weathering. It's kind of just like a general like grimy coating. And what I had done is I took black acrylic paint and mixed it, watered it down, about 50-50 water and acrylic, and literally just covered the suit, and then I wiped it all off so it would just leave behind like a bunch of stuff and fill in the little crevices. But it actually comes off pretty easy. Let me see if I can give it a demo. But so it's, you see it's pretty cruddy right there, no reflection. And if I buff it off with a piece of tissue paper, just for a few seconds here, it gets shiny again. So the metal doesn't lose its shine. Based on that, it's actually, I think, a pretty good way to weather it. It doesn't come off easily, so it won't come off just by walking around, but if you want to buff it off, it'll come off and it's gets the shine back, which is good. And it's actually, the chest is considerably more reflective. It'll probably make a better example than the legs. But so if you see my photos, it doesn't look as reflective as it did in the photos the other day. That's why the whole suit is kind of covered with a layer of stuff like that. Which, if you look at the Empire Strikes Back C3PO suits, in any of the stills up close, they're kind of covered with a grimy layer, and that's sort of the look I was going for. So the only places I didn't do it as much are on the head, just on the face. I left the face pretty reflective. You see my ceiling fan in there. There's a little bit of dirt and grime. More toward, as I went to the back, I left some, but I made sure that the forehead had a lot of reflectivity still. You can see, and that held up pretty nice. The only spots that the finish really got wear was like along the eyebrows right here, a little bit on the chin, and I think it's just from having been in the box and getting kind of knocked around, and having the guys were helping me, and the handlers just kind of, you know, hold the mask on my face. But yeah, the reflectivity stayed really good. Actually, I can probably clean that up a little bit, get some fingerprints off, and bring back more of that shine. But you can see it's very shiny still. So once I'm done with this and I get ready to do the gold, I'm going to polish the entire suit and get off all that weathering, and then I'm going to start putting the gold down, and it should be good. Then let's see, the little earpieces here, these I just used the resin ones, I didn't use the brass. There are a couple little nicks where you can see the resin color underneath. So a few, which I think is pretty good because the mask got taken on and off quite a few times. And you see I did the eyes. I just taped them in, and I made the little setup with my microphone right here. I found if I put it closer to my mouth, it's a little bit louder, but it would pick up when I would breathe. So that was the reason I moved it up a little higher under my eye. It still was reasonably loud. Also, this material I used for the mouth flap is too thick. It was easy to breathe, but after I started to sweat for a little while, it actually became wet, and it made it more difficult to breathe. I didn't get as much fresh air in the mask, and Chris recommended using some kind of like a dark mesh. So I'll swap that out pretty soon. And see how that goes. Let's see here. What else I wear? The chest looked pretty fine. You can see it's still, even with the weathering, it's still more reflective than I expect. When I got photos back, there was more reflections than I expected. But it held up pretty good. I'm trying to think if I had any issues. Everything actually worked really nice. The shoulders held on pretty well. I used the Velcro method under here, and I didn't have any problems for the entire time I wore it. I think if there's anything weird on my back panel, everything functioned properly. Being able to adjust the eyes is really, really handy in the convention hall, just because from the outdoor, the hall area where the atrium is, into the convention area, the lighting was different, and my handles were able to turn the eyes up and down just a tad so they didn't blow out on camera, which was very good. The arms, I got a little bit of wear and tear right here at the tops on both of them, and also only on the right arm for some reason I got little scratches here, and I don't know if it's just I was maybe moving my right arm more, or if there is actually like a rough spot inside one of the shoulder bells. And I just used the resin parts. Same deal with the weathering. Looks kind of cruddy until I wipe it off. So it's like grime everywhere. But then I can polish a little bit of this off of here. I just did right here, and you can see the difference between the clear and the grime next to it. So that's went over reasonably well. Oh yeah, the neck piece, I had some issue with it sliding down a little bit in the front. It worked fine in my test before I took it to C6. But after I got there, it slid down, and like I was saying the first day, I forgot my little balaclava that goes underneath, so there's a gap. You can see my neck. So I put a piece of tape under there just to kind of help close the gap, which helped, but I wish I had something silver to go on it. And for this neck piece, I just used a parking sign. You can see that. And I wrapped it with some of this leftover sample that I was sent by ALSA when I was going to do the vinyl wrap on the suits. I got a bunch of samples, and this is just getting a whole bunch of this, so I have enough for probably 2 more neck pieces. So the next one I do, I'm actually going to try to use this same contour here and bring it up a little bit higher in the front to match this one. And then Ian, Mr. T, told me about this reflective poster board that they sell at craft stores that is just like a mirror finish, and it sounds like an awesome idea. And he basically makes the neck rings as a disposable piece that he'll cut out. He makes a template and cuts them out, and then uses it once, and after it's done, throws it out. And it seems like a really good idea, just because these get scratches and marred up, and then they're really stiff. He said the cardboard has a little more give, and it starts to conform to your neck a little, which sounds much more comfortable. For the hands, I just kept my method with the tire tube pieces, and I put just a ton of hot glue on there. I didn't even change the glue. I was planning on using some kind of heavy adhesive, but I just used hot glue, put a bunch on. It held up fine the whole time. Little kids pulled on my fingers, little kids pulled on the hand pistons, all kinds of stuff. No problems there. The only issue that I was having with the hands, this was before I left, is that the thumb would come undone relatively easily. So I actually glued the thumb onto the glove. So the glove goes on my hand, and it's just a thumb. You work it on there, and then the hand goes on top of that. Like so. And one thing about having the fingers glued to the top of the hand is that you don't get that weird gap. When I've seen some pictures of people where they have these kind of hands, and when they move their hand, there's a giant gaping gap between the fingers. It always looked really ugly to me. So anyway, that did a really good job. Kept it going. I need to put the little details on the inside of the hands, but honestly, even in a lot of photos, you can't see the undersides of my hands, so that, I guess that worked fine. And I've got my 3D printed parts on here. And somebody put a post up the other day about how they feel, and when they're not attached, they do have a little flex to them, but you can see they're sturdy when you know. I put screws in there, and they're on there, and this doesn't have any bend at all to it. It's really, really, really firm. So if anybody's wondering about the 3D printed parts, that's kind of, let's see if I can see it. It flexes about that much. That's it. So anyway, that's a view of that. My shoes that I made last minute, which are pretty ugly, but they did the trick, and in photos you can't tell that they're so stupid looking. See up close they're really kind of bumpy and stuff, but from more than a few feet away, you're walking, they blend right into the rest of the suit. It cost me $13 to make. It's very good. Anything else? I don't think I covered this in any of the previous videos, but for the undersuit, I did, for the legs, the wires go on the back, I just did with some puffy paint, and same with the undershirt. Let's see if I get this to come out here. I did the elbows, front and back, so some paint, puffy paint. Looks a lot like wire, and once you see it in photos, it kind of looks just like wires in the little gaps. And then for the belly wires, I used an athletic, it's kind of like a support, I don't know what you call them, like tank top thing. And it just pulls over everything, and then the wires are all attached. And a few of them popped off as I was taking it on and off, so it kind of looks like a mess right now, but the wires, I use that craft plastic stuff along with some real wires, and then I used some puffy paints underneath just to give a little bit of extra kind of filler. And to get the ribbed look, I just used a silver Sharpie and a ruler, and I stretched it out across a piece of board and went down with the ruler and just drew some straight lines across to give it a little hint of ribbing, which is pretty subtle, but it actually photographs really well. So that's that. And I may end up doing like some kind of like silicone molded rubber thing. Those rubber mats work really well, but they're just too hot and not quite enough flex. So I like the comfort factor of having just fabric there. What else did we do? I don't even know what else to cover right now, but I think that's probably enough video for tonight anyway. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.